Now let's develop some comprehensive testing code. So in main program, so let's test for insert function first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to randomly insert data into the singly linked list, and then do same operation on a well-known data structure provided from the library called the vector, and compare the result together. So let's create slist test object, and then vector from the library for integer type data. Let's create the v. So vector is on vector library. So vector is a flexible array, and then the array size grows automatically as you insert, as you remove, and the like. Since we know how to use a vector, and then we do same operation on vector as well as a slist, and then let's compare the result later. So let's define a constant and a big number, randomly generated data, and then insert into that. To use a random number from the C++ standard library, we have a render function. So for example, if I do int I is 0 to I is 20, I can generate a random number using render function call. So cout, let me include IO stream. And the render function is originally in cstd lib library, but on current C++ compiler is a cstd lib. cstd lib is it seems that render function is automatically included, so you don't have to include the cstd lib library though. But if you move to some other platform in some other version of C++, there might be some chance that. So anyway, I've included cstd-lib on Linux or Mac or the Windows. MinGW, the render functions are available without including cstd-lib though. So let's test the render function, how it works. So compile and run. So those are the numbers, and then what is the maximum random number available is let's see out. I think it's a render max is the maximum random integer render function may generate. So it's a system dependent factor though. So if I compile and run, so this is the maximum number, is about 2 billion is the one. But as you may have noticed that the first time I ran those random number, and then the second time after compile the program I run, you see that even if the numbers look random, but sequence are the same as I run again and again and again. So if I run again, I get exact the same sequence of random numbers generated. So there's a pros and cons. Pros is that since you get exact the same sequence, you may be able to debug if you use a series of random numbers, and the random numbers are generated exactly the same, so you can debug your code. But cons is that in your actual application, we want an actual random number, not this kind of random sequence. So to do so, before you call render function, you can set the seed of the random number. So srand is a function that, and then using current time from the system time function, null ptr. By doing so, the random number seed is randomized so that you may get apparently randomize the sequence. But the time function is in ctime library. So you need to include the ctime library. Then let's compile. Oh, here is typo, semicolon. So now as I run it, you can see that this number is different. So as I run the program again, I get different sequence of random numbers. So what you need to do is call srand, change the seed of a random number generator using the current system time, and then call random function. That random function generates an integer, random integer between 0 and the random x. That's what you get. So based on that, you can use randomized test data.